Let me tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life. That there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there, like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad. It is this feeling that has brought you to me. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know this is like a flat Earth debate or whatever, and I wanted to find out more about it because, I have people on my job and stuff pretty much telling me about this. And at first I thought it was preposterous. And I'm like, how can you have people that believe the Earth is flat? And one of the things that this one guy on my job, he brought up, he was talking about gravity and how it doesn't exist. And I told him, I said, yo, bro, just walk off of a cliff and you will definitely know that it exists, because you will fall down and you will hit the ground and, you will die. And he proceeded to tell me something about like density or something like that. But it sounded weird to me. But I just wanted to see if I could get an explanation on what you guys say about it, because he referred me to you guys, say you guys like the experts or something.
Sure. Who wants to take this?
I'll take it if Riley's not there.
Yeah, you're perfect. Go ahead, Arwijn.
All right. What the density of material is its volumetric mass. It's how much weight or mass there is to a specific volume of the material. And the ratio between the volume and the mass is what gives it its density. And yeah, materials can be changed in their density, and this has consequences when that happens. So what happens is that if you mix up materials of different densities that are fluid, that means they can be gas or a liquid, but not a solid object, then they will rearrange themselves eventually, when left to their own device, to different density layers. Because what density materials do is they seek its relative density equilibrium point within the spectrum of all things it is in. So that in its medium, basically.
Do you follow along so far?
Okay.
Right.
Okay, so just to make sure I understand it correctly, based off of how he explained it, when he says equilibrium, okay, so let's say if I get a rock, right, and I drop that off of a tall building. Okay, so being that rock is dense, according to what he's saying, that would mean that the air around it is less dense and the rock is more dense, and that's why it falls.
Exactly.
And it reaches equilibrium.
Yeah. So far, so good. Do you want to continue with your explanation, Arwijn? There's a bit more, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to expand a little bit upon his explanation. He was correct up until the point that he said at the ground it finds its equilibrium. Well, technically that's not entirely correct, because a rock resting on the ground, it's a solid object, it's not gonna, like a fluid, spread around. The rock is gonna be, as it's resting on the ground, still surrounded by air, and that means it's not at equilibrium with its surrounding. And then it's gonna translate that this equilibrium into pressure locally towards where its equilibrium point would be.
What if we put water into play? How does that equilibrium work with that? Like, okay, so if I throw a rock in the ocean or a lake or whatever, just any body of water.
Okay.
That won't sink. How does that play into that? I haven't really put much thought into it, because my mind is kind of blown right now.
Don't worry about it. That's fine. That's fine. Generally speaking, most people are under the impression that you drop something and it falls because a force has pulled it to the ground, when in reality, when you're on the top of the cliff, you're in, Arwijn hasn't said it yet, but fall arrest. So the ground beneath you is stopping you from going down, but you're not in equilibrium. Likewise, if you pick up a ball and drop it, you've taken it out of equilibrium and then dropped it. But the gravity equation starts from the point that you are in the air holding the ball. So jump off a cliff, well, you're already up high enough to go down because you're more dense than the air around you.
Okay.
Likewise, just
part.
one last point. Likewise, things go the other direction. So if you have a helium balloon, it'll go up when you let it go, as opposed to go down.
Right. Right. Okay. Yeah.
And
So
also-
if you put helium inside of a balloon, right, it will go up due to the. I know helium is lighter than the air, so is that basically what you're saying? Is that the helium trying to reach its point of equilibrium? The reason
Precisely.
why it's going up?
Yes. So yes, if you just substitute less light with less dense.
Oh man.
Less dense than the air. So because the helium is less dense,
Easy,
it's trying
bro.
to reach equilibrium, but equilibrium for the balloon is up because it's less dense than the air.
Right.
Equilibrium
And
for you
also-
is, if in fall arrest, i.e. at the top of a cliff, equilibrium for you is down.
Right.
Expand for a bit. If you are a human being and you have your lungs full with air, and you go and sit on a very salty piece of water or go into it, you're gonna float pretty much to the top of it, because combined with the air and the density of your blood and your flesh and your bones, combine it all together, is gonna be just slightly less dense than that very packed, salty, thick water. So that's why you're gonna then, go to the top. Unless you carry a rock with you that is like pretty dense, pretty heavy, then if you hold on to it, your combined density, because you're holding it, you're basically one single object. Your combined density is then gonna pull you down beneath the thick water anyway.
Facts. That's understandable.
Yeah.
Okay. I tell you what, bro. Like you guys, I'm gonna have to stay posted to learn a little more about this whole thing, because it's kind of blowing my mind right now.
I totally get it.
Cap, I'm not, to be honest.
It blew my mind a year ago as well. So.
And it's not spinning either.
Yeah, we're not moving either.
Oh, by the way, Nathan, if I may, I'd like to expand just a little about the relative density theory versus gravity. Just a little, because there's so many claims about gravity, and I'd like to set them all straight. Or
So,
most of them.
Arwijn, you be my guest.
All right. So one of the things that ballers claim that prove gravity is an acceleration rate within a vacuum chamber. They say, look, because of this, that means that there is a force being applied externally, causing the displacement of the object. According to Newtonian mechanics, there's a force present that is doing that. Well, the relative density theory also explains it, but with better, actually provable scientific foundations. Because, an object that is surrounded by a medium that is almost nothing in relation to it, it will indeed accelerate. And there's the thing. What causes the acceleration, if not gravity? Well, relative density disequilibrium causes acceleration. It causes a force. If an object is not in equilibrium with its surrounding and it can move freely, it will, if in this equilibrium, try to find its equilibrium point through displacement, and that displacement will be in the form of an acceleration. And that is where the force actually comes into play.
That's an excellent description. Your most concise to date. Excellent. Very good, Arwijn.
Facts.